Welcome to Red Dead Redemption 2. Today we have a mod that changes the entire world of RDR2. This mod is called Season Manager, 12-Stage Dynamic Weather and Climate Overhaul. This mod works in tandem with the Dynamic Seasons mod to give you a 12-stage seasonal cycle that completely overhauls the weather as well as the climate. This dynamically adjusts the weather, temperature, and climate, and all of these factors change depending on the time of year you are in game. Now we have a lot to cover. I'll be showing you everything this mod can actually do, all of the different add-ons that are available right now, and then if you stick around to the end, I'll be showing you how to install all of this for yourself. Now what does this Season Manager actually do though? Essentially, this is a mod to add a little immersion into your game. This allows the game to follow a realistic 12-stage seasonal cycle, so now as you're playing through the game, you will experience summer, spring, fall, and even winter. But there's a lot more that goes into it too. The Seasonal Manager even handles other seasonal mods. So for instance, mods like Autumn Vegetation 2.0, the definitive single-player snow mod, and even the Xtreme grass mod will all be managed by the Seasonal Manager. So depending on the season you're actually in, the mod will either turn off or turn on these individual mods. So right now, this Season Manager automatically has the Autumn Vegetation 2.0 on, and as the seasons change throughout the video, you'll see these other add-ons turn on and off dynamically. One thing to note with this mod though is that you won't see seasons change while you're in game. Instead, after a certain amount of time has passed while you play, you'll need to exit the game, and the next time you relaunch, you may see yourself in another season. The length of season is totally customizable, so I'll show you how to do that in the install portion. Now, as said before, this affects all states and all 38 regions. So the whole map of RDR2 has increased immersion. And as we said earlier, now we're in the winter season, and now the Season Manager automatically turned on the single snow player mod. So now Saint Denis is covered in that white powder. It does not get any better than that. Seasons Manager has a lot going on under the hood as well. Now I barely passed math class in high school, and I use the weather app on my iPhone to tell me what's going on. But to make this as simple as possible, this creates a seamless experience. With each of the 4 seasons, there's actually 8 transitions within each. So as this season continues to move forward, you'll see smooth transitions throughout each. So you'll begin to see temperature fluctuations, dynamic weather changes, and all this is based on real-world stats. This even works in tandem with a few other weather changers and visual enhancement mods. So in this video, the graphics you're seeing are from VESTIGIA 2.0. You also have the option to use VESTIGIA 1 or even YM's visuals. And if you don't want to, you don't need to install any of these other visual mods. This comes with its own visual mod if you want to use that instead. It seriously goes into a lot of depth on the mod page, so if you really want to get into the nitty-gritty of this mod, definitely go and give that a read. Now before we move on to some of the add-ons for this, I did notice when you go into Deadeye, I guess this mod overrides remove screen effects. So if you like to have your Deadeye a clear screen like this will definitely override it, so you'll have that tint back up and running again. Unfortunate. Now we'll get into some of the add-ons you can actually add to Season Manager. These were additional mods created that you can essentially layer on top to give you an even more immersive experience. This first add-on is called 12-Stage Seasonal Visuals and Environment. This is an add-on that controls the game's graphics as well as the visual effects. This gives you 12 unique visual profiles with over 225 different graphical parameters that are changed. So no matter what time of the year it is, it'll look and feel perfect for that specific time of the year. And again, you can pair this with a whole bunch of other graphical mods such as VESTIGIA, Visual Redemption, or even Kiddo's World Wildlife Weather. You can really have the look you want in game with these. Some of the key features that come with this mod are the atmosphere and lighting. So depending on the time of year, the lighting will change. Lighting and shadows have been changed, and this all depends on the seasonal environment that you happen to be in. The brightness of the light will also depend on the temperature. So if you find yourself in Saint Denis during the winter time, you'll notice that the street lamps or even the trams will have a little bit brighter light due to that glint you get off from the snow. You now have dynamic weather environments, so now the physical world will adapt to the different weather changes. So now things such as the amount of time it takes you to dry is directly related to the temperature. So the hotter it is, the faster your character or whatever else will dry. Puddles and mud are now changed, so again, depending on the season, puddles and mud will have a dynamic thickness associated with them. You'll even notice that certain vehicles have dirt attached to them depending on the season as well. Even sweat mechanics have been altered, so of course if you're in the middle of a desert in the summertime, you should be sweating balls. But alternatively, if you're hitting it hard in the winter time, Arthur will no longer be dripping with sweat. This goes into so much detail it even affects the animals. So now animals have seasonal fur. Now when you catch a furry animal out in the wintertime, you will notice that their fur is pretty much doubled. Dirt accumulation is changed too, and yeah, this depends on the season. So you'll get caked on with dirt much faster in the wet spring and autumn months, whereas in summer you'll look more dry and dusty. There are also vegetation, wind, and water changes. So the foliage and water physics respond to the actual time of year, determined by whatever the wind speed may be that dynamically changes. The wind will no longer be static, so you'll feel that the environment is a lot more alive. You'll also have better water reflections that are actually tied to the current atmospheric conditions, so you'll see a change in reflection depending on the season you're in. And then there's even the post-processing that adds another layer to this. This is a 12-stage camera filter, and depending on the season and stage you're in, the in-game image will actually change. So on hot summer days, you may see more bloom to kind of give you that hazy looking effect, while in the wintertime, the sharpening will be increased, giving you a sharp, crisp, defined picture. And again, this add-on for Seasons Manager comes with a lot of different details on the mod page. So again, if you want to get into the nitty-gritty of what this mod can actually do, definitely go give it a gander. Now we'll get into the second add-on, Dynamic Seasonal Wildlife Ecosystem. This brings dynamic changes to the wildlife you see in each season now. Animals are now governed by a 12-stage seasonal cycle, which is governed by a different set of rules for each season. This dictates things such as population, so in seasons such as summer, the population size will be more than doubled. There's more foliage to eat, so the animals will be out and about feasting. However, in the winter season, animals will be a lot less abundant, making it a lot harder to hunt since the environment is naturally a lot harsher. Animals now have survival-based AI as well, which is based on seasonal scarcity. This effect mostly takes place in the winter, when there's a lot more scarcity when it comes to food. So animals will now actively conserve energy, only wandering around when it's completely necessary. Animals tend to be a lot more skittish as well in the wintertime. Such predators such as wolves and bears are just as desperate for food. You'll even encounter dynamic world interactions. This applies to the world as well as you, the player character. This applies to things such as bait, so using bait in a plentiful season such as summer will yield less effective results, while in the wintertime if you try using bait, it will be a lot more effective due to necessity. You'll even see cool realistic mechanics, such as traction control based on the season. This affects things such as turning speed or even your sprint speed while you're moving on the ice or snow. This even affects your horse actually, and in the wintertime as well. You will see groups of animals herded up closer together in order to keep warm. Now moving on to our final add-on for Season Manager. This one is the 12-stage dynamic seasonal Herbalism. This is an add-on that overhauls the plant harvesting system. So as you can expect, this season dictates the abundance of the foliage. This system affects over 40 of the in-game plants, from herbs to flowers to berries, and now they follow a seasonal timeline. So plants will grow in the spring, they'll hit their peak in summer, start to wane in autumn, and then in winter, they'll all be gone. There are some exceptions to this though, so berries will be ripe in summer, mushrooms thrive in the dampness of spring and autumn, but once it hits summer they disappear from the dryness. And then there are specialty flowers such as the violet snowdrop that only appear in the cold of winter. There's so many cool things that come with this add-on, you'd be wrong if you just didn't install this on top. Now by now you should know how good this mod is. So if you want to install this yourself, I'll go through a quick guide now just to help you out. I'm just going over the mods that we've shown in the video. So the assumption is you've watched my previous mod guide, so you have the requirements such as script hook, LML, and so on and so forth. If you haven't watched my how to mod RDR2 video yet, I'll leave a link down in the description, so make sure you watch that first and then come back to this. Let's get started. We'll begin by installing dynamic seasons first. So we'll download the main file, we'll open the mod up, and inside of the zip file, you want to take account into the Seasons VESTIGIA as well as the Seasons folder. You only want to use one of these. So if you plan on using the VESTIGIA visual add-on, you will go ahead and select this one. If you don't plan on using VESTIGIA at all, you'll instead use the regular Seasons folder. I'm using VESTIGIA, so we'll take this folder as well as LML, any DAT, and the ASI file. You just need to drag and drop these inside of your RDR2 game root folder. We'll then download the actual Season Manager. So on the Files tab, you have a few different files to choose from. and this all depends on the visual mod you plan to use. So if you don't plan on using VESTIGIA 1, VESTIGIA 2, or the YM's visuals, you're going to go ahead and select this main files. If you are going to use one of these graphics mods, you just need to choose the correct one. Since I'm using VESTIGIA 2, we'll go ahead and select that. We'll open up the mod, and then from here, you'll take all three of these files and drag and drop it into your game root folder. Now we'll be installing VESTIGIA 2.0. But if you want a different kind of look on the Seasoner Manager mod page, again, you can use either YM's Visuals, VESTIGIA Legacy, or the VESTIGIA 2.0 like I do. So we'll go ahead and install the 2.0, and then once you open the mod, we're just taking this VESTIGIA folder and placing it inside of the LML folder. Now these next three mods are optional add-ons, but they definitely do go a long way, so I recommend adding them, if your PC can handle it, of course. So Xtreme Grass, we'll go into the files. I'm going to be downloading the first version, and then for Autumn Vegetation 2.0, go into the files. And then for this, we want to download the Dynamic Seasons Edition. It's going to be the same for the Snow mod. We want to download the Dynamic Seasons Edition. So we'll open up the Snow mod. We'll open the folder that says open this folder. And then from here, we're taking both the ASI file as well as the LML folder and dragging it inside of our RDR2 game folder. Same for the Autumn 2.0. We're just dragging this LML folder inside of our game root folder. And then for Xtreme Grass, we'll open up this Touch Grass folder and drag this LML folder into our RDR2 root folder. We'll also snag this Graphics.ytd Crash Fix to prevent some crashing. So we'll go into the files, hit that manual download, and then once you open up the mod, you will see one.asi file. You just drag this inside of your game root folder. Now we'll install the add-ons for the Season Manager. We'll start off with the visuals and environment. So we'll go into the Files tab, and under the main files, you're going to need to download the Season Manager Times. If you didn't choose a visual mod before, you can install this one as well, Season Manager Visuals. And then under the optional files, if you are using another visual mod, you should be able to find it under here. You're going to need to download that as well. So since I'm using VESTIGIA 2, I'll go ahead and download this one. We'll then open up the Season Manager Times mod, and all you need to do is drag that LML folder inside of your game root folder. Now for the VESTIGIA 2 add-on, we'll do the same thing. It's just a simple LML folder you drag and drop. And then next we'll have the Seasonal Wildlife add-on. In the files, you go into manual download, and then once you open up the mod, it's just another LML folder you drag and drop inside your game folder. And then last we have the Seasonal Herbalism. Again, in the Files tab, we'll download this, and then once you open up the mod, you'll have one last LML folder you just drag and drop. Now there are a few changes you can make, so we'll be taking a look at the seasons.dat file as well as the seasons.ini file. If you go ahead and click into this, there are some settings you can change. So if you want to change the minutes before the season transitions, you can change the length of minutes. If you want to see the actual season that you're in, you can enable the widget. These depend on if you have another visual mod installed. And then at the bottom, there's the VESTIGIA compatibility mode. So I have this turned on with a 1 since I'm using VESTIGIA 2. You can also go into your seasons.dat file. Here you'll see two different numbers. I'm not exactly sure what this one does, but if you change the second number to either a 1, 2, 3, or 4, you will essentially change the season that you're in. So spring, summer, winter, or fall, if that's something you want to change manually yourself. Let me know what you think about this new Seasons Manager mod. I'll definitely do a bit more testing, but from what I've seen already, I'm actually really enjoying it. It's actually giving me some inspiration to create another immersion mod list for RDR2, and might even make it into my mod showcase list. For now though, if you don't want to miss out on future RDR2 mod showcases, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. We have a lot more jam-packed mod videos before the year ends, and I'd hate for you to miss it. Until next time though, we'll see ya.